I had the cameraman in the garage today. He was just messing around with some weights. He doesn't train at all, really. He just comes and hangs out with me when I'm training, and we kind of chitter-chatter and hang out. And in the last few weeks, he's kind of started, messing around with the bar, doing this and that, just getting some movement through his joints. He lives a pretty much a sedentary lifestyle. He's his job is a lecturer at a university, and so a lot of sitting, a lot of looking at the screen, a lot of typing, a lot of 90-degree death. 90-degree death is something that I refer to as, your elbows are 90 degrees, your hips are 90 degrees, your elbows are 90 degrees, your ankles are 90 degrees, you're sitting in a chair for prolonged periods of time. And so today we're kind of chatting about that, and quickly the conversation developed into, okay, so if I'm going to come in here and do something meaningful, what do you think? What do you think I should be doing? And so after all these years of being in the game of training and, spending a lot of time with the barbell and thinking about this for a long period of time, it was kind of interesting to try and make the brain summarize all of that information into something that somebody can use. And when I say somebody, it's not somebody like me, somebody that is an aspiring athlete, somebody that has, ample willpower and will and want and time and all of that dedicated to it. Somebody who doesn't really care about this too much, but he wants some sort of benefit from it. So somebody that is purely interested in some sort of results, some sort of movement. What do you tell somebody like that? So I can't tell them a 4 or 5 hour, training time for each week. I need something that's gonna essentially an hour worth a week and most bang for your buck. Obviously, the straight big three come into the picture right away, but they fail at the hurdle of teaching. I need to teach him how to do this stuff. I need to be very mindful of how he moves and injury risk and all that sort of stuff. And one thing led to another, and the conversation kind of led me to start thinking about strongman. Things like what Dan John used to say in his books, back in the day that I used to read. Take a dumbbell, take it for a walk. A yoke, take that for a walk. Sandbag, kettlebell, take it for a walk. Basically, bearing weight for an increased period of time is probably, I would say, the most beneficial. Eventually, I started talking about pin squats, and eventually I started talking about the period probably 6 months ago now where I was experimenting holding heavy weight in my hands on the bench press just for time, put 100 kilos on the video cut out, but put 100 kilos on the bar and just hold it for time. Hold it for time and see how it felt. Wrist aches, forearm aches, and I'm not talking about like muscle aches, I'm talking about bone aches. Incredible sensation. And then, I started going into, doing the same thing with the squat, walking back and forth with a loaded barbell between my squat rack and the squat stance when I had it differently orientated. Just incredible pains. And so it ended up basically getting him to try just unracking a heavy weight. Not a heavy weight. We ended up doing 60 kilos for him, but it's a heavy weight for him. He can't squat that now. And just holding for time. I ended up timing him, and he got just over a minute. When he unracked it, when he finally racked it, he was like, oh my God. Shoulders, a whole bunch of areas. But the one interesting thing is that he had pain in his right lat. So the right lat was working harder than the other lat. And then he kind of mentioned how when he sits, when he drives, he's kind of sitting in a certain way. It's a unilateral kind of way of sitting. It's not a base, kind of like a balanced way of sitting. And then I started kind of thinking about the whole thing and all of the times that I read about Dan John and strongman competitors. And I'm sitting here now and I'm thinking to myself, maybe the whole idea behind strength is simply how long can you bear the weight? What would happen if I could unrack a 200 kilo weight and hold it for 5 minutes in that rack? Would that benefit me? Now, in terms of the natural thought process, there's no range of motion, it's not going to carry up the squat or deadlift. I think there's something beyond that. Something got to do with bone density, something got to do with the nervous system. If you think about what bone density is and thinking about all the central nervous system receptors around the body, the nervous system is constantly monitoring all tissues. So if your bone is unfit to bear the weight of a 250 kilo squat, guess what's going to happen? The nervous system is going to deregulate the nervous drive to your tissues, to the prime movers of your body, and you won't be able to exhibit. Maybe your muscles are strong enough, but your bones are not. Interesting thought. It's just me kind of sitting here thinking out loud, but it's something that's worth thinking about, because I don't think a lot of us think about bones when we train. We get it as a side effect of training, but no one goes, oh yeah, this block, I'm going to try and increase my bone density. It's something that no one thinks about. But maybe that's what is happening when you are feeling crushed under a weight. When you first walk out a certain weight and you're like, damn, this weight is crushing me. Maybe that crushing feeling is your bones are tired. And how crazy of a thought is that? Bones getting tired? Yes. Just like steel structures, bridges, towers, whatever you name, they have fatigue as well. There's fatigue within structures. What makes you think that bone doesn't have fatigue? So after hitting 180 for 11, I'm still tired. My muscles feel okay, but when I unrack a weight, I feel tired. I feel fatigued. I don't feel ready. Maybe my bones have not recovered yet. It's a crazy thought, but maybe there's something to it. Appreciate you guys like always, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace out.